Okay, so we've seen that um, the texts that were being used have been found. For example, I'll simply say this, for example, the Codex Vaticanus and the Codex Sinaiticus, all of which I think it's called the Codex Biblicus, which the King James translators had. Um, I'm going to have to go back and double check on that one because I haven't got it right in front of me now because I'm responding to this video off the cuff. But the Codex Vaticanus, which the Roman Catholics had in their vaults, which is a complete copy of the New Testament, dating back around for the 5th century, I think it was, AD. Now that is one complete version of the New Testament was found. Actually, it's an interesting story. They kept it in their vaults, locked away, as they've got many treasures in their libraries. A guy knew they had no copy. He went in there and asked to see it, and the officials at the Vatican said, "Okay, you can see one page at a time, but you're not allowed to take any writing device at all." So he actually went in, spent a day, a page a day, for so many months, and he actually memorized it, and then went home and copied it out. And to his credit, it was a good 75 to 80% accurate, the copy he made of it. So when he published it, this is a copy of the Greek Vaticanus, the Codex Vaticanus, the Vatican said, well, he's done such a good job, and it's no secret anymore what's in it, we may as well publish the whole thing. So they released it for publication. Of course, all his hard work went out the door because the original came out, but he didn't mind. He was quite happy about it. And of course, the most amazing, fantastic story of the Codex Sinaiticus, Count von Tischendorf, whatever his name was, his discovery of some ancient old papyri and manuscripts, which the monks at St. Catherine's Monastery at the foot of Mount Sinai were using as firewood, as tinder. And he went in and found the almost complete copy of the New Testament in Greek amongst this stuff waiting to be burnt. And what was more amazing was that a guy called Chester Heaby was travelling around. I think it was Chester Heaby. I'm sorry, Chester and Chester's fans, if you know, I've got the name wrong, but his name rings a bell. Chester Heaby discovered some more manuscripts, and amongst these manuscripts were some pages. And they took these pages, and by a miracle they found they were the exact missing pages from the Codex Sinaiticus. And actually that's why you can go to the British Library today and you can see in its entirety the oldest complete copy of the New Testament, dated around the 3rd or 4th century. I think it's 3rd something century AD. And of course they've got books and parts of books and fragments and things going straight back even to the eyewitness period, as they call it. From there you're able to examine, okay, whether the whether verses were actually added or words in verses were added or indeed taken away, because you've got the older manuscripts and you can see if any copying was done which was in error, and you can test it, which is why the Greek and the Hebrew manuscripts are so valuable to the Christian Church. Now, once again, I'm not decrying the King James Bible. It's very good, very accurate for the times it had, for the information they had at the time. Okay, and it is a good word for word translation. And all of these peculiarities and things that are missing, like I say in Bible study, they can be explained, they can be understood, and people can see them in the context. Now, another thing I'd like to bring up about the King James Bible is that because of this, and because this attitude of the King James Bible is the only true Bible to use today, And yes, there's a lot of beauty in the English language in recording the King James. There really is a lot of English nuggets, as the video goes on about. But the cults will use the King James Bible, and they'll use it to not just quoting the Hebrew, because the Mormons don't go back to the Hebrew or the Greek very often, because that defeats their project. But they use them. They've even plagiarized it in their Book of Mormon, quoting huge sections of the King James Bible, going on the premises that God likes King James English, and the old joke which you have on these videos that you can see: if English was good enough for Jesus Christ, it's good enough for me. Now they quote it as if God is addicted to King James English. Now, if there's any holy involvement in any language, okay, yes, the Hebrew language was perfect, especially with its flow for prophecy. God couldn't have picked a better language to write the Old Testament in than Hebrew, particularly given the prophecies and the picturesque language that was used in there to act as a school teacher to Christ. Now, and the New Testament, Koine Greek was a man-made language until you actually look to see how God's hand involved was in it. Now, it was Alexander the Great who developed Koine or Common Greek, okay, because he had an army of so many different people who had so many different dialects of Greek. They had to bring everyone together to work under be able to function by just using one language and not having people translating their own dialects. And so, under Alexander's leadership, they came up with Koine Greek. Okay, that's why the word charity is something that brings up on this video. They don't define on this video, when saying how accurate the King James is compared to the lexicon, etc., what the actual definition of the word charity is. There's no actual definition, but they say about the lexicons, Strong's, and also modern translations of the Bible, translating it as love. Now, the Greeks had 3 words for love. They had I think they had 4, but they had eros, which is erotic love. They had agape, which is divine love, divine as in God to man. They had philios, which is a sort of brotherly love, a love from one person to another, like a mother would have to a son. And they didn't have a 4th word, which I think is pretty much designed as a sort of comradeship, a loyalty love, a comradeship. And some of these loves, particularly when Peter is asked by Jesus to basically his reversal of the denials. Simon Peter, do you love me? Simon Peter, do you love me? Simon Peter, do you love me? He used agape 2 times, and then Simon Peter, filio. And that's when Peter reacts, Lord, you know I love you. Why do you keep asking me this? You know, he responded to the different context of the word love, and that's how it's recorded in John's Gospel. Okay, so it is important to actually understand and define the actual meanings. And yes, English just uses the word love, and it can mean anything. Under its context, it needs to be understood. Imagine Alexander the Great giving an order to his archers and saying, "Fire! Fire what? Fire the arrows. Fire at will. Fire 2-3 volleys. Fire independently. Fire when you see the whites of their eyes." Just by Koine Greek being so accurate, one word makes it very clear.